If you don't mind now, please close your videos or turn your videos off, and please mute yourself so that there's no distractions during tonight's presentation, and that will work wonderfully. And I'm going to begin sharing my screen, and in a little while, we'll get to hear Anthony Sleiman and his incredible presentation on capturing the night. Whoops, that's the wrong slide. I started way too late. Excuse me, everybody. Hang on. I'm so focused on the presentation. I started there. Anyway, good evening. I'm Scott Zucker, president of Audubon Everglades. Welcome to our October meeting and feature presentation. We're glad you're with us for our second exciting new offering of an incredible season ahead. We have a great program planned for this evening, so sit back, have a snack and beverage perhaps, and we hope you enjoy tonight's program. We are adding some educational fun to our presentation, so let's play Guess the Bird. So these are migratory birds in flight. Can you spot the broad-winged hawk? And if you can, please put your comment into the chat. So far, everybody's guessing one. Any other guesses besides one? We have a 2 now from Sheila McCormick. Anyone else want to take a guess? I'll give it another 10 seconds. You can do a quick search on Google if you want to. And Wiley says 2. Okay, let's see what it is. And the answer is number 2. It's an adult broad-winged hawk, which has reddish brown head, barred underparts, and broad black and white bands on the tail. They are fairly small, compact raptors with chunky bodies, as you can see, and large heads. In flight, their broad wings come to a distinct point. You can see the pointed wings. Their tail is rather short and square. The pale undersides of the wings are broader in dark brown, are bordered in dark brown. Excuse me. Okay, let's move on. We have one more question. Ready? This is a sound question. Can you guess which bird makes this iconic call? And it is iconic. So put your responses into the chat. I'm not seeing any responses yet. Come on, folks. A, B, C, D, or E. Yeah, I'm going to play it one more time. I have to go back. I have to go a slide back to do it.
I'm not hearing.
Some people are saying they can't hear it.
I'm not hearing it, Scott.
Oh, that's odd. I mean, it's playing on my screen, but not on the others. So
it's the it's your audio, which we had difficulty before.
Okay.
Yeah.
So well, I'm sorry. I can't make a quick adjustment here on the fly. So we'll just go on, and maybe we'll do it again for next time. Oops, I went too fast. Okay, so hopefully you did well. Do you want to test your hawk knowledge some more? Want to brush up on your raptor ID skills? Then join us for an incredible birding experience at Curry Hammock State Park on Friday, October 11th at 8 a.m. for the annual Florida Keys Hawk Watch with expert Jeff Boughton from Florida Keys Hawk Watch. Witness the awe-inspiring migration of raptors such as peregrine falcons, broad-winged hawk, and sharp-shinned hawks, and many more as they soar through one of the world's top hawk migration sites. That area has set records for the number of, for the number of peregrine falcons seen in one day. Start your day with a guided morning walk to spot resident species and migratory warblers. Then challenge yourself by identifying raptors from the topside viewing platform as they glide above. Curry Hammock also provides a wheelchair accessible experience with the exception of the beach route. The trip is free and we still have a few openings, so sign up quickly. It's in the chat, by the way, to sign up. Test your skills on game day. This is a brand new event with Kevin Baker, who's a member of Audubon Everglades and founder of Flamingo Con, a bird game group. Play fan favorites like abduction, corvids, bird call, wingspan, bird watcher, and more while learning about Audubon birding. Whether you're a seasoned gamer or new to the flock, this event promises fun, friendly competition, and an opportunity to connect with fellow bird and gaming enthusiasts. Keep an eye on Eventbrite for up-to-date programming with new events released weekly, and you can register on Eventbrite for the game day with Audubon Everglades. Our field trip season is off and running. We're excited to offer a range of thrilling new field trips. Don't miss out. Follow our Eventbrite page for the latest trip opportunities and Audubon-related events. Visit the link in the chat to register for upcoming field trips. The Big Sit on October 12th is an annual event occurring all over the world where teams are required to bird from a 17-foot diameter circle, 17 feet, that's it. You'll be surprised by how many species you can see. I know in the past we've seen in the 60s, in the high 60s. So if you're out at Peaceful Waters on that day, and that day is, let me find it, the Big Sit, it's on October 12th. Spend a little time with the Audubon Everglades team and see how many birds you can see. Again, check the chat for more information. Exciting new programming is here, offering something for everyone, from the beginner birder to the seasoned expert. Get started in birding with Autumn Coyote, learn how to use Merlin or eBird in the field with hands-on guidance from experts like Beto Matthias, or follow Shelley Rosenberg throughout the year to become a purple martin landlord and have purple martins on your property, perhaps. To see all our events and field trips and to register for them, please visit our AE event page and the AE calendar on our website. Again, see the links in the chat for more information and to register. We have a new collaborations and outreach initiatives for students and middle schools through college and beyond. We're partnering with local chapters of the Girl Scouts of America, Speak Up for Kids, and by the way, Boy Scouts of America too, REI, local libraries, and more. Young people can earn volunteer hours and have supervised stewardship experiences while having fun. To learn more and get involved, join us in person for our next outreach event on October 27th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Bush Wildlife Sanctuary, when they will be hosting the Feathers, Fangs, Fur, and Fun Halloween event. This is a very family-friendly event, by the way. See the link in the chat for more information about the event. The oldest citizen science initiative, the National Audubon Christmas Bird Count, is less than 3 months away. Started on Christmas Day in 1900, 124 years ago, the Audubon Everglades count, which will take, we didn't start it by the way, 124 years ago, but we've been participating for the last almost over 60 years, which will take place on Saturday, December 29th, occurs over a 15-mile diameter circle in the central part of Palm Beach County. If you are interested in joining our team, please contact our intrepid coordinator, Chuck Weber. And by the way, you don't have to be an expert birder to be part of a team. You know, if you have some birding skills and want to be involved and help out, please feel free to contact our coordinator, Chuck Weber, and you can see his email link in the chat. The Southeast Florida Shorebird Alliance postseason partnership meetings will be held October 8th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Plantation Heritage Park, which is at 1100 South Fig Tree Lane, Plantation, Florida. The purpose of the meeting is to advance seabird and shorebird conservation in Florida, specifically the Southeast region for this partnership, through a network of partnerships. This meeting will focus on the information learned from this past breeding season and talk about ways to be more involved in the upcoming breeding season. You can see the link in the chat for more information about how to attend and for who to contact to find out more information as well. Join Audubon Everglades and community volunteers to pull weeds. Yes, pull weeds on the islands in the Lake Worth Lagoon that were created to filter water, but which magically also provide critical nesting habitat for the threatened black skimmer, American oyster catcher, and least tern, and which is a stopover place for migrating, piping, and Wilson's warblers. I know that Wilson warblers have been seen lately at Tarpon Cove. Please see in the link in the chat for more information and to register. You currently are not able to register for these events, but if you follow ERM or the Palm Beach County Environmental Resource Management, you will be able to get information when these events become available. So just follow them and you'll get that information. Join Audubon Everglades at the 2024 Palm Beach County Native Garden Tour, set for Sunday, November 17th. The tour is of 6 native gardens in central Palm Beach County, where you will see a variety of garden sizes, styles, and plants that can inspire your own garden design and plant choices. AU will be giving away free plants, Vermonia gigantic, and Verbania virginia at 11291 Cowan Court, Lake Worth in Homeland. A free plant, Cordellaria rotundifolia, will also be given away at Pan's Garden in Palm Beach. Those are just 2 of the sites. There are 4 others. Admission to all 6 gardens for AE members is $5. Just let them know that you are a member of Audubon Everglades. Non-members are $10. And if you are a member, by the way, of the Native Plant Society, you are free as well. So see the link in the chat for more information and join us on this incredible tour of native gardens in Palm Beach County. Members, please join us for the new season of Audubon Everglades Photography, now hosted by Edwin Wilkie. AE Photography is included with your AE membership, and we're excited to kick off with a free workshop for members featuring professional photographer, educator, and tour leader, Lisa Langell. She is currently in the Galapagos leading a tour. And that will be on October 17th at 6:45 p.m. In this live webinar, Lisa will guide you through the best settings and techniques for capturing birds in motion, covering focus settings, choosing the right focus points, adjusting your aperture and shutter speed, and framing your shot. Designed for DSLR and mirrorless camera users, the session will include video and interactive activities to keep it engaging. Members will also be eligible for Lisa's newsletter and a private link to view the presentation. Lisa Langell, founder of Langell Photography, has been a nature photographer and birder since childhood. Lisa brings her passion for teaching and nature photography to life online. I'm sure you will enjoy it. Please attend. So in our programming series, the fall and winter months are shaping up to feature some exciting presenters, from best-selling authors to field experts. Check Eventbrite to register. Next month, we will be meeting on the 2nd Tuesday of the month, as the first Tuesday is Election Day. And by the way, please remember to cast your ballots and to remember the importance of protecting our birds and their habitats when you do. So on November 12th, we will feature biologist Sophie Osborne, author of the new book, Feather Trails, A Journey of Discovery Among Endangered Birds, who will share her firsthand experience to save some of our most endangered species, like the California condor and the alala, or Hawaiian crow. We will also host a 30-minute additional discussion with the author after the presentation from 8:30 to 9 p.m. for those of you who want to have a little bit more intimate encounter. If you would like to join the book discussion club, please see the email in the link. You can find her book on Amazon as a hard copy, on Kindle, or audiobook. It is available also at the Palm Beach Library in these formats. Remember, you can view most of our past presentations on your YouTube channel. See the link in the chat for that, and also see the link in the chat to learn more about the book discussion and where to find the book Feather Trails. So, did you enjoy the presentation or see or attend a field trip you like? Consider joining us and helping with our conservation efforts, because that's where your fund goes. Please see the link in the chat if you would like to become a member of Audubon Everglades. So, please remember to put your questions for tonight's presenter in the chat, where we will try to answer as many as we can following the presentation. Usually we're pretty good at it, but sometimes we miss one or two. And hopefully we'll be able to get to all of the wonderful questions that you guys always ask. So now we come to our feature presenter. Imagine spending your nights alone in the middle of the Everglades with all its strange sounds, swarming mosquitoes, an array of predatory animals. Well, that is exactly what tonight's presenter, Anthony Sleiman, loves to do. Anthony is a conservation photographer who came to Miami from Venezuela in 2013. Yearning for natural spaces, he discovered the Everglades in 2017. By 2018, when he was just 18 years old, he purchased a professional camera and began his adventure of documenting the beauty and diversity of the Everglades and the night sky in South Florida. Along the way, he has collaborated with organizations such as the Everglades National Park, the Everglades Foundation, and the National Park Alliance to help protect and preserve these uniquely beautiful areas. Andrew has stated that he hopes his photography raises awareness about the need to protect natural areas and inspire others to care about the environment. Anthony has been able to share this message through his incredible images that you will see tonight, and by mentoring hundreds of photographers through workshops he leads right in the heart of the Everglades wilderness. Additionally, hundreds of people per day streaming through Flamingos, who stream through Flamingo Visitor Center of the Everglades National Park, were introduced to the night sky through an exhibition of his photographs entitled Nocturnal Everglades. Audubon Everglades is excited to now present Anthony Sleiman, who will share his passion for capturing the night, a glimpse to the last dark skies in Florida. Anthony, please feel free to share your screen and to take us on a journey into the night skies of the Everglades.
Hi, can you see my presentation now? Okay, can you see it now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. Okay, perfect. Hi, everybody. I'm so happy to see so many of you here interested in the night sky. I've been documenting the Everglades at night for the last 6 years. I have been able to explore, hike, and kayak to many areas of the Everglades and see the magic of this place firsthand. I've been also getting eaten by 100,000 mosquitoes during my journey. Sometimes I get bitten so much that my wife is worried that I got sick with something, but it's just the mosquito bites. Before I show you my work, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the 3 most common questions I get every time I show people how the stars look like in Florida. The first most common question I get is, how much Photoshop is in these pictures? And for that, I take my time to explain to the person the techniques I use and my editing process on how to get this type of photos so they can see that they are real and there is almost no Photoshop on it. The second question I get is, is this really South Florida? Because many people don't believe that you can see stars like this in South Florida. We're so used to the city, the lights, the beach, the parties, that many people don't think that we can see these places right here in our backyard. And the last most common question I get is, Anthony, why did you do this to yourself? Why did you go to the middle of nowhere to get eaten by mosquitoes? Because the nights in the Everglades look like this. You get eaten by mosquitoes, you suffer from the humidity, and then you suffer from sleep deprivation because you sleep around 2 to 3 hours a night just to capture the night sky. And my answer to that question is because I love it. I love every single second I spend in the Everglades at night. And I just want to let you know a little bit about my story on how I connected with the night sky and why it's so important to me and why I want to inspire others to do the same. So to do that, we're going to travel 10 years back in time to Venezuela when I used to have more hair. So this is where I used to live. I used to live on top of a mountain. And every morning you will see the clouds over the valley of Caracas and you will just have this amazing and beautiful view. Then in 2014, I moved to the US looking for new opportunities. And during that time I got here, I noticed one thing that Florida has and one thing that Florida doesn't. And Florida doesn't have mountains. So I was not in the mountains anymore. Everything was flat. And I didn't know where to go hiking and where to go exploring. And when I asked people where to go, they will tell me, well, you could go to the Everglades, but it's such a dangerous place. It's a place just full of alligators, full of panthers and bears that you might not want to go there. So I never went there. During my time here in Miami, I was working around 80 hours a week. I was working 4 jobs at the same time while I was going to FIU to earn my degree. And during this time, I started to feel like my life was passing by so quickly, and I was just not enjoying anything. And I started to feel that I was being locked down in a dark room with no windows. A time after that, I started working at Best Buy. And in Best Buy, I met a group of people that are now friends of mine that they used to go into the Everglades and do this amazing photograph of like wildlife and the landscapes of the Everglades. And I became interested in it. I started asking them, hey, I thought the Everglades was this place where as soon as you get in, a gator will bite your hand and then a panther will bite your foot. And then you have all of these animals fighting to eat you. And they explained to me how beautiful this place was. And I became intrigued about it. And one day I decided to buy a camera because I said like, okay, I used to explore the mountains in Venezuela and now I want to explore a new place here. So I bought a new camera. And as soon as I got home, I said, well, I have the camera now. Now, when will I go out and take these photos? Because I didn't have time for anything. I was working so much. And then I realized, well, I could just stop sleeping a little bit and go out and explore these places at night. And, you know, that way I can use my camera and I can learn something new and I can connect with nature again. So that's what I did. I called my siblings, my cousin, my now wife, and we jumped into my car and we drove into the unknown. I just put in my GPS Everglades National Park and we head out there. And while we were going there, everything started to become darker and darker and darker. And all of the thoughts about like a panther jumping in the car on an alligator, like in the middle of the road trying to eat us, started to increase because we have never been there before. So as soon as I passed the park entrance, I decided to park right by the Hinga Trail, the entrance of the Hinga Trail, which is 5 minutes away from the park entrance. And all of these thoughts about an animal eating us as soon as we got out of the car started to increase. But then I rolled down my window and looked up and I saw millions of stars. And at that moment, something just clicked in my mind. Everything became quieter, everything disappeared, all of these thoughts went away. And I got off the car, put my camera on a tripod, and just tried to shoot whatever I could because I didn't know how to use the camera very well. And I got this picture. This is the first picture at night that I ever taken. I didn't know what I was photographing. I didn't know what I was looking at. So you can see here on the right, the Milky Way core of the galaxy, the core of the Milky Way galaxy. And at that moment, again, everything disappeared. It was just me, the camera, the sound of the Everglades and the stars. And I decided to get a picture of myself in the middle of the Everglades. This one has Photoshop because I had to add a little bit of hair. I was already losing it, so I had to make it a little bit better. I took this photo of me in the middle of the road, and then I took this one last picture before we started to head out from the park. But this moment changed my life. This moment showed me that I was not in that dark room anymore. That dark room suddenly had windows and I didn't have a roof, and the light coming to the room was the light of the stars. And that's how I started my journey on photographing the Everglades at night and trying to educate others about the light pollution and inspire them to explore these places at night. Now, before we take a journey into the Everglades at night, I want to take you to my second favorite time of the day, the sunset. This is the last light of the day. It's when everything's turning colorful, a little bit quieter, a little bit calmer. The clouds are exploding with colors. You see hundreds of birds coming to roost for the night. And everything just starts to become quieter and quieter, and everything starts to go to sleep. And like the light that's leaving the Everglades, people start leaving the Everglades too. Because many people believe that there cannot be anything more magical than a sunset in the Everglades. And many people believe that the Everglades at night is a scary place. So I want to show you a video about what sunset in the Everglades looks like, so you can see the magic of it before we go into the night. So, is there anything more beautiful and magical than a sunset in the Everglades? Well, if you stay a little bit longer than the sunset, you will see something that's called the blue hour. That time is when the last light of the sun is leaving, and you start seeing the first stars in the night sky. If you stay a little bit longer after this time, you might see something like this. The Milky Way shines very brightly from every corner of the Everglades. And it's crazy to think that we have this right in our backyards, an hour away from our houses in northern West Palm Beach, maybe a little bit more, but it's right there. And many people don't think about it or don't know about it. And it's even crazy to think that some people don't go to this place because they might seem far away. But for a few of us, it takes us more time to go from our jobs to our houses than driving down to the Everglades at night to see the night sky. So today I want to take you on a journey to the Everglades National Park, which is my favorite place in the world. I go there I used to go 4 times a week. Now I go a little bit less, but it's my favorite place in the world. And if you have never been into the Everglades at night, and if you have never experienced the night sky, this is a good place to start. So if you're afraid of hiking or going to different places in the park, you don't need to go that deep in it. You can just park your car by the visitor center, where you will see hundreds of stars right there from your car. You don't need to go hiking, you don't need to go exploring. You can just look at the night sky from your car. And then when you feel brave enough, you can start hiking a little bit and learning a little bit more about the Everglades at night. Every night in the Everglades is not the same. Some nights look like this when you're deep in the water to get a photo of the Milky Way. Other nights look like this. They're calm and beautiful. Other nights, I have my gator friend giving me company for the night. I like to think that I like to look at the stars too. As long as we keep a distance between each other, I'm happy to share my night with them. And then there are nights where you have to fight the mosquitoes away because you get eaten by them. You will have hundreds of mosquitoes on you. So I have my happy dance to keep them away. Now, let's get into the park. Like I said, you don't have to go really deep into the Everglades to see the Milky Way or to see the stars. This picture right here was taken in Royal Palm, 5 minutes away from the park entrance, next to the parking lot. So you don't have to go hiking, you don't have to go exploring if you're afraid of the Everglades at night. You can just go there, park your car, and look out of the window, and you will see the beautiful view of the Milky Way. And if you feel a little bit more adventurous, you can take the trail and walk a little bit of the boardwalk, where you might see something like this, alongside seeing tons of wildlife that live in this trail. And then if you want to have a more intimate experience, you can go to Long Pine Key. I like to buy sandwiches and just go with my wife, and we will sit down there and have some sandwiches, tell stories while I do a time lapse of the Milky Way. And you are just there sitting in the pine rocklands, and you hear the wind going through the pines, you hear the owls. It's just a magical place. Just to see the Milky Way rising above the pine trees is such a magical view. And if you want to go on an adventure, you can do a little bit of the Lone Pine Key Trail. You don't have to do it all. This trail is around 8 miles long, one way. And but if you walk in it for like 10 minutes, you will get to the open prairies and you will see something like this, really far away from light pollution, really far away from people driving down the road and putting their lights on you. It's such a beautiful place to be, and it's so quiet. It's just gonna be you and the stars. Another view from that trail would be something like this. And every time I'm walking or hiking in the pine rocklands at night, I love to look up, because you might catch a glimpse of the Milky Way between the pine trees. Now, if you're really up for an adventure, you can take your bike and head out to Shark Valley, and you can do the loop, the 50-mile loop to the tower, the observation tower. This trip is one of the most magical trips you can ever do, because you will see tons of wildlife. You will see tons of alligators that are pretty active at night. You will see snakes. You will see even the crocodiles that are living now in the Shark Valley Tower. And you might even hear the scream of a gray blue heron at 3 a.m. in the morning that will scare you for life. But if you make it to the tower, you will see views like this. And the great thing about the Everglades is that no matter how well you check the weather apps, that they might be wrong. Summer storms can happen anytime. And this photo, while I was taking this photo, I got stuck in the tower for like an hour waiting for the storm to pass. But the thing about summer storms is that they can be chaotic, but they can also be beautiful. So here's a video of the summer storm that got me stuck in at the moment. I had to get inside of the tower and just wait for like an hour to leave because there were lightning everywhere. So, but it was a magical experience. And like I said, summer storms can be chaotic, but they can be beautiful too. If it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have been able to get this photo. And if I would just go to the Everglades when the weather app says that it's going to be clear, I would have never seen something like this image that you see right here. And to show you what another summer storm looks like, they look like this. Now, if you really don't want to go on a hike, you don't want to go anywhere, you just want to stay in your car, drive, and pass by or drive really, really slow, just go to Mahogany Hammock, where you might see something like this, looking southwest. And then if you don't want to go to any trail or go deep into the Everglades, just stay by the main road where you might see something like this. The first photo was taken right in the main road, like 10 minutes away from the entrance. And the second photo was about after Lone Pine Key, where you have all the pine rocklands. Another thing that the Everglades have taught me at night is that sometimes you need to look at things in a different angle at a different time, because they might change. You see this solution hole that you see in the picture, I have taken hundreds of people during the day just to see it. And the reaction that I get is like, oh, wow, that's a massive hole. Let's continue. But when you go during the night, that massive hole becomes a mirror to the stars, becomes a more interesting view. Same thing happens with these two photos right here. On the left is a pond that hundreds of people drive by every day. And I've been standing there during the day and I see tons of people just passing, and the only way they will stop is they see an alligator on it. But when you go at night, the perspective change. It's another mirror to the Milky Way. and it's a more beautiful scene. Same thing with the palm trees on the right. Many people walk around them, they don't even pay attention to them. But at night, the stars align right in the middle, so you can see the Milky Way core between those palm trees. So where I want to go with this is that sometimes when we have issues in life, we might be looking at them from a different angle. And sometimes we need to look at them in a different time to find a better solution. And these are some of the things that the Everglades are taught me. Another thing that I love to photograph in the Everglades is the Z tree. This famous tree, it has been photographed by hundreds of photographers throughout the years. And it has a really interesting story behind it. People say that Native Americans used to bend these trees to find their ways into the Everglades. But a good thing about exploring the Everglades at night is that your imagination just goes crazy and you start creating your own stories. So to me, when I look at this picture, to me, that tree is pointing out into the Milky Way. So I like to think there might have been a connection between the people that used to live here before all of us and the stars. And if you really want to go to a dark spot in the Everglades National Park, just drive down to Flamingo, where you will see the Milky Way rising in the Florida Bay that looks something like this. This is one of the darkest locations in the park. So if you want to go out and just have a good time looking at the stars without the least amount of light pollution, just drive straight to Flamingo and you will see the Milky Way like this. And if you're really up for an adventure, grab a kayak and go camp in Cape Sable, where you will see some of the darkest skies in Florida. I remember this day I was planning a trip with a friend of mine who's in the picture. We were supposed to be camping in Flamingo, but once I made it there were no camping spots left. So one of the rangers told me, why don't you just get a kayak and head out into one of the keys? So I ended up going to Cape Sable, and we had an amazing night. The trip there, we saw a lot of wildlife like crocodiles, alligators, sharks, tons of wildlife, tons of birds. And once we made it to the island, we set up the tents and it became darker. We were blessed with this beautiful night sky that's only visible in places like this. And now that I've been talking a lot about the Milky Way, the stars, the night sky also gives us some gifts, things that we are not expecting, like the comet Neowise. This has been one of my most challenging photos because the comet during the first week was visible between like 20 minutes before sunrise. So I was waking up at 2 a.m. in the morning, driving down to the Everglades every single day for a week to capture it. But every time I would go out into the Everglades, the comet would have just a cloud covering it, and I wasn't able to get it. For the second week, the comet became visible during sunset. So I started to go to the Everglades, and the same thing happened. I tried for around 5 days. On the last day, some of my friends wanted to come with me, and I was like, oh, let's try it again. So we head out into the Everglades, and once we got there, I told them, hey, so for the photo I want to get, we need to get into the water, like waist deep water. Are you willing to go with me into waist deep gator infested water? And their answer was, yeah, let's go. We were able to get this photo. But the great thing about it is that as we walk in there, there was still light. We walk a lot, like a quarter of a mile. So once we set up in there, we started to wait for the sunlight to disappear, and the comet started to become visible. This comet was visible to the naked eye, it was such a magical experience. You will see the tail, you will see its movement. It was incredible. And I remember at that moment when I took the photo, it just, all of these thoughts about the gators and every dangerous thing that might happen with being in the water at night, all those thoughts disappeared. And it was just me, that comet, and my friends, nothing else. And I remember at that moment after I took this photo, I turned around and I saw the Milky Way core reflecting on the water. So I was there in the middle of a comet that passes every 6,700 years. And the Milky Way galaxy, that's where we all live in, So I was there, just a tiny grain of sand in this universe. And I remember feeling so small at that moment. And then after giving it some thought, I was like, whoa, this was such a magical experience. And maybe, just maybe, if you think about it, we are not that small at all in this universe. Because each of us, we have something that's called the power of decision. We can change our life. We can help others change their lives. And that's a big thing. So we're not that small in the universe at all. Another thing that I love to photograph, that I photographed yesterday morning that I just added to the presentation was Comet A3 Chin-Chun-Chan Atlas. So this comet is visible right now. So if you wake up early in the morning, the comet is visible between 6 a.m. to 6:25 in the a.m. Just a small window, but you might be able to see it with binoculars. And it's such a magical view. This photo was taken yesterday morning in the Everglades National Park. And honestly, it was one of my favorite photos of this comet. Another thing that you would love to see when you go into the Everglades at night would be the meteor showers. We get tons of meteor showers throughout the year. And to be honest, they are incredible. If you have never experienced one, you should go out, grab a chair, grab your friends, and go into the Everglades to see these meteor showers. Some of them can have up to 100 meteors an hour. Some of them can have 30, some of them can have more. But the great thing is that you will see this ball of fire just flying through the sky. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm 31 years old. And every time I see a comet, I can't stop screaming because I get so excited. And I even make a wish every time I see one because it's such a beautiful experience. This is another photo of a meteor passing by the Milky Way. And this is a video of some meteor showers that I have seen in the Everglades. So try to see how many you can count. So how many did you count it? There were hundreds of meteors in just a few seconds of videos. And again, if you have never seen one, you should go into the Everest at night, next meteor shower, and just sit down and look up. It's a magical experience. And if you have kids, they will love it. Just bring mosquito repellent with you, bring some sandwiches, buy something that's called Thermacell. If you don't want to get mosquito repellent, buy a Thermacell and just put it next to you. And that thing will keep the mosquitoes away. I have tested that and it works really, really well. Another magical thing that I've seen in the Everglades was the Northern Lights. Never in my life I thought I was gonna be able to see this in the Everglades. I have dreamed about traveling to Alaska, Iceland, Finland to go see the Northern Lights, but a few months ago there was a geomagnetic storm in the sun, and we were able to see the Northern Lights down here. I remember I was photographing the Milky Way, and I was with two friends of mine, and one of them took a photo with her phone, and the sky was completely red. And I was like, no way that's happening right now. So I turned around, away from the Milky Way. This is a photo of the Milky Way and the Northern Lights on the left. What you see here on the bottom left is the light pollution coming from the city. And then I turned around and I took this photo of the Northern Lights. This is what the Everest looked like that night. It was incredible. It was magical. I remember I got so excited that I started running around the road, just screaming with excitement. It was just magical to experience this. And so next time you hear about another storm like this, head out into the Everglades. You might see something like this. And the only way we could see something like this is by going to these dark places, and if we keep protecting them too. One other thing that I don't pay attention most of the time is the moon. Because as a night photographer, you learn that the moon washes away the stars. So if you go into the Everglades at night and you have a full moon, you won't see the Milky Way core with your naked eyes. You will see less stars. And you will learn that when the full moon is out, you will be able to walk around the Everglades without using a flashlight or anything. That the moon is that bright. So this day, I decided to wait for the moonrise. I normally don't do that because I'm an eye photographer. I try to avoid the moon because I like to photograph the Milky Way. And I remember this night, I saw the sunset happen and I decided to stay a little bit. But the magical thing about it is that as the light of the sun disappeared and everything started to become darker and darker and darker until it was pitch black. And then the moon started to rise and the light started to come back. Everything started to be illuminated again. And the amazing thing is that even though the light was coming back, it was a different light. It was a colder light. Everything was a little bit bluish. And to me, it was mind-blowing that I didn't need a headlamp to walk into the Everglades at night when the full moon was out. And another crazy thing that I saw is that because of how bright the moon was, I had a shadow made by the moonlight, which it was mind-blowing to see there at night. This is a time lapse of a moon setting in the Everglades. And this is that sequence of the same time lapse to show you how the moon changes colors while it gets closer to the horizon. So if you want to go and explore the Everglades at night, don't feel like you have to go just during the new moon. You can go during the full moon and see magical things happen too. And again, people believe that anytime you have the moon, you cannot do night photography. But sometimes you go out, you might get something like this, where you will have the Milky Way on one side and the moon on the other side. This was my first time seeing this. This was photographing flamingo in the Everglades National Park at the end of the park. And this is a really common tree next to the road. And I was doing some photos there and I saw this orange light. And it was so beautiful. I just took like 2 photos and then just stayed there looking at the event happen because it was magical. So when you're out there, you can get photos of the Milky Way and the moon at the same time. You don't have to just wait for the new moon to go out and photograph the stars. Another thing that I love about the Everglades at night is the wildlife. Like I said, I love to see the gators. Every time I see one, I get super excited about them. And I like to think they go out with me and stargaze with me while I'm doing photos of the Milky Way. Again, as long as they keep the distance, we're happy. And I don't know, maybe they're there in the pond thinking, wow, I'm such a small grain of sand in this massive universe, just a gator in a pond. But that's something that you think about when you're just by yourself in the Everglades with nobody around. And then we have the grasshoppers. We have so many of them. There are times where you will see hundreds of them together. And I just love to photograph them because they stand still most of the time. And then the most magical creature, this is the creature I love the most in the Everglades, is the owls. Seeing an owl at night is pure luck. You will never see an owl at night unless the owl wants you to see them because they are so quiet and they don't make a single sound when they're hunting. So you will miss them a lot. Remember I took this photo during one of my workshops and we were finishing photographing the Milky Way and the sun started to come out. That's why we were close to the sunrise. That's why you see the change on the sky. That's a little bit brighter. And then this owl just started singing, howling. And all of us went together and set up the cameras and took photos of him. But one thing that I want to recommend you, if you go out at night to do herping, to look for snakes, to look for owls or any type of wildlife at night, or you want to do photograph of the wildlife, never point your flashlight or your flash straight to the animal's face because that will damage their night vision. For example, for an owl that uses their night vision to hunt at night, and you put a flash or a flashlight straight to their faces, you will destroy their night vision. So the owl will not be able to hunt that night. Same thing happens with a frog or a mouse. If they're in the Everglades, they depend under night vision at night. So if you put a light on them or a snake, you will destroy the night vision. So they won't be able to see any predators around. And it's most likely they will die that night than if you didn't put your light on them. And then after wildlife, we know we have always been connected to the night sky. All humans have always used the stars as inspiration. We have used them to create music, to create poems, to create movies. We have even used them for navigation to find our way in the ocean, to find our ways when we get lost. And maybe this is because we have that such a strong connection is because we humans are all made of stardust. And I know it sounds crazy, but many of the elements that are found in the stars, like the zinc, the calcium, and the iron, and many others are found in the stars and are found in our bodies. So next time you feel sad, just remember, hey, you're a star. You gotta keep shining. So maybe that's why we are connected to the night sky and we find it beautiful and inspiring. So now I want to talk a little bit about something that's taking away our night skies. This is something not many people is paying attention to, but it's an issue that keeps growing and growing and growing. And here in Florida, where we have 1,000 people move a day moving to the state, more houses, more roads, more buildings are being developed. And all of this development needs one thing, which is light. So light pollution is growing every single day. And not many people is paying attention to it. So what you're seeing right here is a light pollution map of the state of Florida. So I know you are seeing a bunch of different colors, but basically the brighter the color, the more light polluted that area is. So if you see here, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, West Palm Beach, they're pretty much white. That means they're really, really light polluted. Miami is one of the most light polluted cities in the country. So that's why when you're out there, it's hard to see the stars. But when you talk to people about light pollution, they only think about it because of the way you see the stars. They will say, hey, I don't care much about light pollution because I don't care about looking at the stars. But light pollution does not only affect how we look at the stars or how we see the stars. Light pollution also affects our circadian rhythm. So it can make you more, it can make you develop obesity, diabetes, and many different illnesses because of the light pollution. It also affects the bird migratory patterns. So birds get confused and they might crash into buildings because of the light pollution. It also affects the totals. It affects many things, not only how we see the stars. And during my journey into the Everglades, I learned that light pollution expands to 4 miles. You can see the light pollution from miles away. As you see here, the light pollution map in the middle, where it says Everglades National Park, 75, and this road, which is the Tamiami Trail, which is Big Cypress, which is an international dark sky location, that means it's the darkest place in Florida. You can see that it's not pure black like the ocean. So what we're experiencing there, even though we can see the Milky Way and we can see the stars, we're not experiencing a really dark sky. So to put this to test, I started driving in the Tamiami Trail in the Big Cypress area, which is the international dark sky location, and I came across to this. So this was a few miles away from Everglades City. I think it was like 10 miles away from Everglades City. And as you can see 2 light domes here in the back. So Everglades City is a really small town with less than 1,000 people living in it. And this light that you see here, 10 miles away from it, is just some light bulbs that they have in a roundabout. So imagine just that tower creates that amount of pollution. So I decided to drive into Everglades City to see what the issue is. And as you can see here, on the right side, you have the light, the roundabout, and on the left side, you have the night sky of Big Cypress. So this is a city where if you fix the lights, you should be able to see the Milky Way galaxy from every corner of it. So imagine you are a small city and you have the possibility to create some type of tourism using the night sky. Imagine you fix your lights and then you invite people, hey, come to eat to this restaurant where you can eat with candlelight and look at the Milky Way at the same time. And you can create different experience to people. So by fixing your lights, you can create more tourism, make the economy better. And also you will save money on light. By putting shields on them, you will need to use less light bulbs to illuminate certain areas because you won't be spreading light up into the sky, but down and focus on certain areas. And you can also use sensors. That means when the light will only turn on when somebody walks around it or pass by it. And this is the video of for Everglades City. So as you see the stars, the closer they get into that dome of light, they start to disappear a little bit. But again, that light is just coming from from one pole that's in the middle of the city. Now to show you another example of how a small light can affect the night sky. This is the smallest USPS in the United States. It receives hundreds of tourists every single day. And as you can see the Milky Way core there, very deep with much detail. But if you see here in the bottom, all of this light right in the bottom is made by just one light bulb, one tiny light bulb created of this light, and it's spreading into the night sky. So imagine how the 100,000 light bulbs that we have in Miami are affecting the night sky. This is one of my favorite photos because, and I love to show it to people because I'm just gonna ask a question and let's see how many of you can answer me in the chat. Let me see. Okay, let me just open the chat. How many of you, at what time do you think I took this photo? We got 6 a.m. Okay. So this photo was actually taken 7 p.m. Okay. 5 p.m. Wow. Well, you will be surprised that this photo was taken at 1 a.m. in the morning. I know it looks like a sunrise or a sunset, but all of the light that you see here is light pollution. And this was taken in the Big Cypress area in the H Street, which is the international dark sky location that we have, one of the international dark sky locations that we have in Florida. And you can see how the light pollution is expanding there to a point where there are sections of it that where you cannot see stars. Now, I want to ask you, at what time do you think I took this photo? Oh, wow. I always joke with this photo because I always tell people like, hey, I'm such an amazing photographer that I was able to get the sunset and the stars at the same time. Like nobody else in the world can do this. But I'm seeing your answers here in the chat, and Sabina was right. This photo was taken at 2 a.m. in the morning, right in the middle of the Everglades National Park. And the light that you see there that looks like the sunset is the light from the city of Homestead, which is around 20 miles away from this location, maybe a little bit more, like 30 miles away. So you can see how that light travels. So another example of that is this location, which is Mahogany Hammock in the National Park. A lot of people go there because it's one of the darkest areas in the park. But once you look east, you can see the light dome coming from the city. And this is really far away from the city. We shouldn't be looking at that. Another examples of light pollution that we have. Oh, let me just open this. Okay. These two photos right here. Give me 1 second. I'm trying to close the chat. Okay. Okay, these two photos right here. These are panoramas that I took in different locations. So the one on top is around Mahogany Hammock in the National Park, which is, again, like 20 miles away from the closest city. And then the other one is in Big Cypress. And that photo was taken in around, 30 miles away from the closest city too. What they have in common, even though they're really far away from the cities, that what they have in common is the light pollution. So the one in the Everest National Park, you can see how big the light pollution is looking east. And then when you go to Big Cypress, you can see it from the other location. So little by little, light pollution is getting into the Everglades and is changing the ecosystem at night. This is another example of Big Cypress. So yes, I was able to capture the whole Milky Way arc in this location, but all of that light on the bottom is the light of Miami, which is around 30, 40 miles away from it. And now this photo was taken in the Everest National Park. This was taken in Flamingo. And that light that you see in the back is not the sunrise, it's not the sunset. That light that's coming, and it's not the city. That light that's coming from the back is a few light bulbs that they have in the marina of the Everest National Park. So you can see how much light those light bulbs are generating that are visible from the other side of the park. This is my favorite photo to show to you, because when I ask people, well, let me ask you, at what time do you think this photo was taken? Because most of the people, when I show them this photo, think that this is a sunrise. And this is a location that I love to go to photograph the sunrise. But all of the orange light that you see there is the city of Homestead. And that was taken at 2 a.m. in the morning. It shouldn't be looking like this. So now what I want you to take away from this presentation is that I want you to leave tonight inspired to go out into the Everglades and explore the magic of this place. I want you to be inspired to go out this weekend, which is the last weekend where you can see the Milky Way core, and it's gonna be rising right after sunset. So I want you to go to a dark place close to your house. It doesn't have to be the Everglades. If you can go, if you are living more in Central Florida, you can go to Kissimmee Prairie, you can go to Big Cypress, you can go to the Big Cypress area in around the I-75, you can go to Dinner Island Ranch. I go to the Everglades because it's closer to me, but there are many places in Florida where you can still see the night sky. So I want you to leave tonight inspired to go out and see it, and see the Milky Way with your naked eye. And again, you can see the Milky Way core this Saturday after sunset. It will show up at like 8 p.m. and it will disappear. It will go under the horizon, the Milky Way core, around 11 p.m. So grab some sandwiches, grab some friends, and go out and stargaze. You're gonna have an amazing time. And of course, bring your mosquito repellent, because it can get crazy there. Long sleeves, long pants. Try not to get beaten. But I want you tonight to live inspired to protect the Everglades at night, to protect our night skies, and to educate others about what they can do to protect the night sky. And one thing that I've learned in the Everglades is that the real Florida is not the beaches, it's not the hotels, it's not the parks. The real Florida looks like this: untouched, untamed, and breathtakingly beautiful. I don't know what's happening with my computer. I'm sorry, guys. It's just I came up. So I hope you guys enjoy the presentation and that you are feeling inspired to go out into the Everglades at night. And if you ever want to join me on one of my workshops, these are the upcoming dates that I have coming. You can register on my website, which the information is here. And then if you have any questions about exploring the Everglades, you don't have to join a workshop for me to help you. Just send me a question on Instagram, send me an email, and I'll be happy to reply to you and give you a guide on how to explore the Everglades at night and how to lose the fear of hiking at night in this place, because it's really magical.
Wow, Anthony, that was amazing. That last video was mind-blowing. That was wonderful. Thank you so much. And and by the response to the questions, you're gonna see how much our audience enjoyed it as well. Right in the beginning, Ranieri Pallavicini said, great pictures. So there was a quick question. How are the sunrises there, which I think you showed, but I'll let you talk about them anyway.
So the sunrises in the Everglades are so unique too. I know I've been saying the word magical a bunch of times, but that's the only word I can use to describe what I've seen in this place. So I normally see the sunrises when I stay the whole night shooting the Milky Way. And you see the transformation from how calm the Everglades is at night to how it starts to wake up in the morning. You see, once the light of the sun starts to hit the horizon, you will see tons of birds just waking up and flying away. You will see the owls on the main road of the national park just looking to eat if they didn't eat for the night. It's just a beautiful experience to see this. And you hear the Everglades, you hear it, because that's the magic that the Everglades has. We might not have mountains here. We might not have incredible rocks, but if you listen to the Everglades, you have amazing sounds. And if you go during sunrise, you will hear the Everglades waking up, like letting you know, like, hey, enjoy this magical view that I'm about to give you.
Wow. So there were a number of questions related to permissions and whether thinking that our gates locked. So one question was, how did you get permission to stay after 6 p.m. at Shark Valley? That was asked by Kathy Embark. Do you get locked in at any of those locations?
So
And,
the Everglades National Park is open 24/7. What closes at 5 p.m. is the administration. So park rangers are going to leave. The only ones that are going to be working at that time is going to be law enforcement. So when you go to Shark Valley, yes, they close the gate because they don't want people into the parking lot or parking there or, messing up with the store or anything. But you can park outside. You just need to move your car like around 7 a.m. So once the park opens, the cars can start flowing getting into the park. So if you want to go to Shark Valley at night, just park outside, go explore the park and leave with the sunrise. And you won't have any issue with the rangers. They will even say hello once you're coming out because the park is open.
And by the way, Kenneth Arison seconded that. He says the gate at Shark Valley is locked. You have to park along the road and walk or bike in. So he seconded what you just said. Anthony, in all your night photos, there is a yellow and orange. Where where is the light coming from? Like this photo where, and I think that was when you showed the the Ouroboros, yeah.
Oh, the Aurora Borealis?
Yeah. So where is the pink coming from? So
So that
yeah,
thing, that's because of the geomagnetic storm that happened
right.
in the sun. We're able to see these particles that are bouncing out.
Okay.
Yeah, there are particles that are like excited, bouncing all over the night sky. And this is something that we shouldn't be seeing here in the Everglades. This is a one in a lifetime moment.
Wonderful. Wonderful that you captured it also so beautifully.
It was pure luck.
Sure luck. Yeah, well, you have to be there to be lucky.
Yeah, that's true.
Jeannie Mauser is wondering if Arthur R. Marshall, I don't know if you, National Wildlife Refuge, I don't know if you've been in there, offers in darkness. I always leave shortly before sunset. So she's wondering if that might be a good place to be at night to do, I guess, night photography.
So the thing with Arthur R. Marshall is that that one closes at 10 p.m. So it's dark enough. You might not be able to see the stars as bright as in the Everglades, but you will be able to get a photograph of the Milky Way and see it like faintly. You will barely see it. So if you want to try this Saturday, like I said, after sunset, the Milky Way will rise. So we'll be there from 8 p.m. The Milky Way core, because the Milky Way is out there year round, but the Milky Way core, which is all of these clouds and explosions that are in the Milky Way, is only visible during February to October. So this Saturday will be your last chance if you want to see it, unless you want to wait until February. And the good thing about this time of the year is that it's visible right after sunset. Because if you go in February or March, you're gonna have to wake up like at 2 a.m. in the morning to go out and see it.
So you're saying if you're say at Arthur R. Marshall at 8 p.m., you'll have 2 hours to be there.
You have 2 hours.
It's closed. So then that would be the time to go to see the Milky Way.
Yeah.
So you hear that, everybody? Arthur R. Marshall at 8 p.m. Meet you there.
Yeah.
So Sue Revy says your videos are fantastic, and they are.
Yes.
Kathy Ombach asks, do you see the red through the camera or with your eye for the northern lights?
So the northern lights, they weren't that bright to be naked eye visible. I was able to get it through the camera because we use long exposures. That way the camera captures more photons of light. That's how we are able to capture the stars and all of these amazing views at night. But it wasn't visible to the naked eye. Like you will see that there was something happening in the night sky because it would look like smoke, something like that, like a fainted smoke. But if you see it with the naked eye, you would have never thought or seen the red. Thought that there was the northern lights, yeah.
So it's the long exposures, and we probably see that in other photos too, that's allowing you to capture much more light than we would see with our naked eye.
Yeah. So we do long. So what I do is I set up my camera with long exposures. Depending on the lens I'm using, the exposure will change. So there is a rule, that's the 500 rule, which everybody uses. You just divide 500 by your focal length, and that will tell you what's the slowest, shortest speed you can use to avoid star trailing. But nowadays that we have like higher resolution cameras, it's better to, instead of use 500, use 300, because high resolution cameras are able to capture more of the movement of the air, the rotation of the air. So you will have your stars moving. So depending on the lens you're using, I saw a question about how long my exposures were. They might change between 10 seconds to 15 to 20 seconds. It depends. And if I'm using a tracker or not. Because what the tracker does is a device that allows you to track the stars. It will move at the same speed of the air rotation. So we'll move the camera at the same speed, and I will follow the stars. It will track them. So that way you're able to do longer exposure, like 3 minutes. I have one that I can do 4 minutes on it and won't have star trails, and I can capture really sharp stars.
Wow, I did not even know about that. I knew the stars moved, but I didn't realize there was a tracker that you could
Yeah,
attach.
it's an amazing device. I only use it when I have the patience and I'm not getting eaten by mosquitoes.
Wow.
Because being in there waiting for 5 minutes per picture to be taken while you get eaten by the mosquitoes is a challenge.
Yes, yes, I can imagine. Sue Revy asked, is there a particular time to see shooting stars?
Well, shooting stars, they're kind of luck. That's why once you see one, you make a wish, because there is not like a specific time to see them. But make sure when the next meteor shower comes, I think the next one is gonna be in November or December, to go out to a dark place, because that's your best chance to see a meteor, which will look like a shooting star, but it's gonna be green and it's gonna be huge.
Yeah. Great advice. Elizabeth Garamis says to go to earthsky.org, astronomy essentials. It's in your chat, by the way, everybody. Everything you need to know, G-Mine meteor shower. So I guess that's a place to go to see
Yeah.
about meteor
The
showers.
time and all of that, yeah.
Marilyn Levy says, thank you for this amazing, beautiful, inspiring night sky presentation. Lynn and Grace says, hi, Anthony. Have you ever seen a Florida panther out there?
So I get this question a lot, and the funny thing is that yes, I've seen one, but it wasn't the happiest experience.
Oh,
I was in the middle of Big Cypress, deep in a prairie, like maybe a quarter, half a mile from my car, deep in a prairie, like waist deep in the prairie. And it was 3 a.m. in the morning. And as that thing appeared around that time, I was kind of angry. So since I saw that the panther was kind of angry, I left. And I just grabbed my camera, my tripod, I left everything there, my backpack, my lights, everything. And I picked the things up in the morning.
oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was quite an encounter. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Anne Wiley shares an interesting bit of information. Sanibel was the first dark sky town in Florida. All lighting must be shielded and facing down, or you don't get your certificate of occupancy. It may have been as early as the 70s, actually. So
Oh.
that's fascinating about Sanibel. Marge Barnum asks, are there any places in Florida that there is no light pollution?
Yes. There is one place. And that
One
will be
place.
Dry Tortugas National Park.
Dry Tortugas, of course. So you have to go by boat, of course. Dry Tortugas.
I was there in July. I was working for a project for Olympus cameras, and most beautiful night sky I've seen in Florida.
Wow.
The Mexico was shining so bright that I told my wife, like, I asked her if there was like people putting lights behind the trees or something, because the night sky was so bright.
Gosh, that's amazing. So hear that, everybody. If you ever get to the Far Tortugas, try to go there when there's a new moon. New moon. Ranieri Pallavicini says, saw a great picture. Anthony Ombach, what did you say kept the mosquitoes away besides insect repellent?
So there is a device that's called Thermacell. So Thermacell is like a little thing that works with like some plates that you put in, and that will keep the mosquitoes away.
Thermacell.
Use them a bunch of times, and that's the only thing that keeps them away.
Okay, good to know. Blake Scarborough, as she's looking at your photos, says these are insane. So meaning how wonderful they are. Sandra Vargas says beautiful. Jeannie Mauser, wow. Sabina Begg, stunning footage. Kathy Ombach has asked a question. What kind of equipment do you use for the videos?
So all of those videos are time lapses.
Time
So
lapse.
I go into the Everglades and I normally set up a few cameras. I try to hide them in different places where nobody will see them. And they take photos for around 2 hours.
Wow.
In those 2 hours, I get maybe 10, 12 seconds of video.
Oh, that's interesting. And then you string it together to create the longer. Yeah. That's wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you for that, for sharing that insight on how to do it. Shelley Rosenberg says spectacular. Mark Cook says, wow, what an inspiring presentation. Thanks, Anthony, for being such a wonderful advocate for the Everglades and dark skies. I couldn't agree more. Kay Jacobson says, love the video. Ellen J, thank you for showing us a beautiful sky that we don't often see. Your videos and photos are awe-inspiring. A Zoom user, don't know their name, thank you for sharing your beautiful images. Love it 100%. Ria Moss, wonderful. Sandra Vargas, what kind of camera settings do you use?
So again, it all depends on the focal length that I'm using. So normally, let's say I'm using a 70 millimeters because I want to have a wider view of the Milky Way and the night sky. I will go for between 13 seconds, 10 to 13 seconds. My ISO will be around 3200, I'm sorry, or 6400. And then my aperture, I use fast aperture lenses, so I always use 1.8 or 2.8, depending on the lens I'm using.
Right,
So that's
fast aperture.
kind
Okay.
of the settings I use. But it all depends on the type of photo that I'm gonna do, and if I'm using a tracker or if I'm not using the tracker. But that's basically.
So are you using short lenses or long lenses? Are you using like 50 millimeter wide angle or long lenses?
Well, yeah. So I've used from 14 millimeters to up to 85. So
Okay,
that's the focal length I'm using.
Okay.
If I'm gonna go over 50, it's better if you use a tracker so you can do longer exposures and reduce the noise. But it all depends on the type of photo you want to do. Because let's say you want to have a photo. Like if I shoot a photo at 70 millimeter, you will get the whole Milky Way there, right? But if you want to have the Milky Way looking like massive, like in this photo right here, like this photo, I don't know if you can see it. I use for this one, I use a 50 millimeter.
Okay,
So I can make the Milky Way look way bigger in the
I
picture.
see. I know they have the new cell phone cameras have much higher resolutions now and other nice aspects to them. Could you use, for example, some of the newer cell phone cameras to get any quality picture similar to this?
Yeah. So the new Google phones, the Samsungs and the iPhones, so they're amazing at night. When I go out, when I take my wife with me, she just spends the whole night shooting with the iPhone, and it's incredible to see the results she gets.
Okay. So good to know. So everybody go out and get a new iPhone, Samsung, or Google phone so you can get some similar pictures.
Yeah, and if any of you is going to the Everglades this weekend to see the Milky Way, use your phone. You don't need to, like, if you don't have a camera, you can use your phone to photograph it.
Amazing. That's great to know. Kay Jacobson says, thank you. Marge Barnum says, you have certainly inspired me to get out there. When is the best time to see the Milky Way? And I think you've told us at least until this weekend from 8 to 12. And then,
Yeah, that will be for the Milky Way core.
right. And then, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so the Milky Way core is visible from February to October, right? So the beginning of the year, from February to like June, the Milky Way starts rising like really late in the night, like at 3 a.m., 2 a.m. in the morning, 1 a.m. So after summer, the Milky Way start appearing in the night sky closer to the sunset.
Right.
So that's when most people go out and photograph it because they can stay for the sunset, they shoot it for like an hour or two, and they go back to sleep.
Okay. It's convenient.
It's convenient. But that doesn't mean that during the winter you cannot go out and photograph at night.
Right.
So what's not visible is the Milky Way core. So the
Right.
Milky Way different sections, like the tail of the Milky Way that's pretty much visible in December, which doesn't have that much color, but it's beautiful too to see with the naked eye. And you also have like Orion in the night sky and different constellations that are beautiful too.
And that's in December.
In December, yeah.
Yeah.
Once you start seeing Orion in the night sky like we have right now, you know that the Milky Way season is ending and you're entering into the winter skies.
I see. Okay. Good to know. Question, Kathy Umbach, did Clyde Butcher inspire you?
I love Clyde Butchers. When I learned about the Everglades, because from Venezuela, I never heard about it. And when I moved here and started exploring, I started to see his photos, and it's just insane. He captures the Everglades in just a beautiful way that I wanted to do the same, but I focus more on the night sky. I wanted to make it a little bit more of my style, but his photos inspired me since I started. I met him a few times already. I've been to his gallery and spoken to him. I showed him some photos of the night sky. He showed me some photos he took of the night sky too. He's amazing.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we've had him as one of our speakers in the past, and he was amazing. I agree. Sabrina Alonso says, thank you for sharing for what most of us take for granted. Good point. Jeannie Mauser, your enthusiasm and spirit of the wonder is inspiring. Your enthusiasm is definitely inspiring. Amazing job, Anthony. Truly enjoyable. Thanks, Anthony. That's Cynthia Marks. Luann Dillon, awesome photos, inspiring presentation. Thank you. Caroline Fuentes, thank you. So inspiring. Marge Barnum. Could you put the workshops again, please? I guess put them in the chat, please, the workshops that you're doing. Sandra Vargas, thank you. CJ McCarthy, stunning and inspiring. Thank you. Lynn Thompson, beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Ranieri Pallavicini, to everyone, amazing. Okay, these are the workshops.
Yeah.
If you want to, everybody, you might want to take a screenshot of it. And maybe we can try putting some of that into the chat as well. Juan Gonzalez, question. The Everglades is a sanctuary and needs to stay that way for generations to come. Oh, it's actually a statement. Help spreading the word to take good care of it. Lynn and Grace, how to track the stars movement during exposure. I'm asking, how do you track the star movements during exposure?
That's why I use a tracker. There are different type of trackers depending on the lens that you're using and the object, the celestial body that you want to capture. But I use a tracker that's called the Nomad, which is really tiny and it's really light. I use that one because it's really light and I carry a lot of equipment. So hiking with a lot of things in your bag will destroy it. So I got a tracker that's called Nomad. It's made by a company called MSM. And that will help you track your stars if you're using a wide angle lens.
Okay, good to know. A tracker made by MSM.
Yeah.
Is it possible to capture the Milky Way in December? I think you've already told us it is, but you have to go later. Wonderful presentation. Thank you, Nancy Noel Stephen. Sue Reverie, what about what about pythons?
Oh yeah. Well, honestly, I haven't seen that many pythons in the Everglades at night. To the places I go to, I've seen just a couple of them in the 6 years. I've seen maybe like 5. Not many. What I see a lot is cottonmouths. I see them a lot.
Right. Cottonmouth.
Of
Wow.
pythons, I don't see many.
Okay. Well, at least you're avoiding one of the main predators in the Everglades.
Yeah.
Are there mosquitoes in the dry tortugas?
No. Well, while I was there, I didn't experience any. I didn't see any mosquitoes. Didn't get any bite. Nothing. It was perfect.
Wow. So another reason to go. Hugo or Apizia, Google Pixel has an astrophotography mode. I think speaking to the question about cell phones. Think Samsung may have too, but you need stable surface or phone tripod to initiate. You can't do it handheld. So if you're planning on doing apparently astrophotography with a cell phone, plan to have a tripod to stabilize it on.
I've used my iPhone, and the iPhone tries to stabilize the image. So
Okay.
as long as you're gonna do like 10 seconds, you should be able to get it with the iPhone. Once you're gonna go past 10 seconds, yeah, you should use a tripod. But I have gotten some photos with when I'm out in the Everglades and I cannot see the Milky Way with the naked eye, I just point my phone to the sky and grab a quick photo, and then I'll find the Milky Way.
Wow.
Yeah.
I have a feeling a lot of us are going to be out there with our cell phones trying to capture the night sky. April Waters, thank you, Anthony. Spectacular photography. Marge Barnum, thank you, Anthony. Great job. And thank you, Scott. Thank you. You're welcome. Ann Wiley, I've worked with sea turtles for decades and so appreciate your education regarding the tremendous damage caused by light pollution. We can and should start in our own yard, shield all light, point it down, use long wavelength, amber or red. So thank you, Ann Wiley, for sharing that with us. And we all need to do all that we can to reduce light pollution. Anyway, so the upcoming workshops of Anthony's, thank you, Mary, for putting them in there, are in the chat. So if you're interested, please do you want them to contact you?
Yeah, they can contact me through my email or Instagram, wherever they want.
And could you put your email in the chat again for us, Anthony? That would be really helpful.
Second that. I don't know why. Okay, now I'm able to.
Okay. Leslie, thank you, Anthony. Wow, wow, wow.
Thank you.
And Rossman, amber yellow porch lights also reduce killings of moth and light stays cleaner. That's a really good point, and thank you for sharing that. And Anthony has put his email in the chat. ANTH Sleiman, SLEIMAN photo@gmail.com or www.anthonysleiman.com. So both of those are ways to reach Anthony if you're interested in the workshop or perhaps have any further questions for him. Anthony, what a brilliant, brilliant presentation, and on multi-levels, brilliant in the sense of how good it was, and brilliant because the photos were just so brilliant. Thank you so much for being with us tonight. Hopefully, we'll see you again in the future at one of our presentations, and maybe some of us will get to see you at one of your workshops over in the Everglades.
Yeah. And if any of you go out this weekend, send me a picture you got. During the presentation, I spoke about a comet that's visible right now. So if you have time to wake up in the morning and head out and look east, you can see it from your house. Look east from 6 to 6:25 in the morning. Use some binoculars, you might be able to see the comet. This one passes every 80,000 years, so.
Wow. Okay, and when is that again? I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
That's gonna be, it's happening right now.
Right
Like,
now, okay.
you can see it tomorrow.
Okay, so get out there tonight to see it.
Oh, yeah, to this morning.
Okay, and where should we look? What direction?
East.
East. Okay, look east.
East.
Okay. So hopefully we'll all be looking east tonight for that comet. Thank you so much again, Anthony. Have a great evening. And everybody else, thank you so much for joining us tonight. It was a brilliant evening. I know by your comments how much you enjoyed it. And thank you to our great team that helped bring you these virtual presentations. And we can't wait to see you on November 12th. Remember, that's the second Tuesday in November. First Tuesday is Election Day, when we will be hosting biologist Sophie Osborne, author of Feather Trails, a journey of discovery among endangered birds. You won't want to miss that. And if you look into the chat, you'll see that her book is available on Amazon in all its forms, digital, hard copy and audiobook. And the audiobook, by the way, is really a well-read book. I listened to the book on audio. So we'll see you again on November 12th. Without further ado, good night. Thank you for joining us tonight, and have a great evening. Bye, everybody.